Let's see here. What I'm thinking, the way I'm thinking it is that we could just have an introduction, and then I mean we can go right to it. I mean we can start where we left off when you were on my stream last week or something like that. I kind of forget where we left off though, but you know, it's really up to you. This is kind of like a free-for-all. I mean, it's not like meant to be like a debate or like something rigid. This is a conversation, you know.
Right. I don't know if my internet is that great. It says I have 3 bars, but it kind of skips around a little bit.
Right. All right, perfect.
Any people piling in yet?
Yeah, they're piling in. What's up, guys? It's Artie. You know who I am, and I have a very special guest today. You may know who he is. You may have seen his videos. This is JeHeretic, and we get to have a casual discussion. He and I, you know, we clearly do not see eye to eye on certain things, but we're able to have a conversation. So, you all right? Everything okay over there?
I don't know if the signal's gonna work.
Uh-oh.
You hear it skipping?
You're skipping. Your voice is fine. It's just you might be skipping a bit on my end. What's up, Alpha? What's up, Segregation? What's up, Juan? What's up, Alvin? Sass, Wazoo, Denise? Heretic, you still with us? Uh-oh. We might have lost him. JeHeretic, testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and he's gone. we're off to a great start. So we're gonna see if he can reconnect with us here in a bit. But the idea, Alpha Fox Adam, Chicken Man, best stream ever. I know, right? You know, top tier, S tier production values in this establishment. And then I swear to God, you and everybody else telling me I look like Keemstar. JeHeretic, we're back. You are on mute, by the way. And I don't think I can unmute you.
Shit here.
There you go. Are we back?
Kinda. It's loading. I don't see anything.
I see you, and actually you're coming in a lot smoother than before. So.
Oh. Yeah, this time of day the internet really sucks every day of the week. It's like from like 3 or 4 till about 9, it's pretty hit and miss, and then the rest of the day when everything's calm, it works pretty good.
Right on. Okay. No worries. Yeah. Well, we're here now. So the idea is that, you know, we clearly, you know, have some disagreements on certain aspects. And I think it comes down to a lot, you know, when we were having our discussion last week when you were on my stream, you know, it was a very, you know, it was kind of it was a philosophical divide on, you know, who, you know, I think the big themes that I took out of it was, you know, the idea of, you know, fictional entities, you know, having authority over another person or human being or flesh and blood person, and the second being, you know, how our society is supposed to govern itself. in the nature of laws and law and order, and how, what authority can somebody have over another. And I think that's where we're those big themes that we were having. And I wanted to know, like, where you're coming from, and then I'm curious as to where, what started you on this, journey. Did you always think that the idea that, you know states can't do anything to you because they are literally, only exist on paper, or is that something that you found, later in life? So let's start from there.
Well, the state doesn't actually do anything to you. It's a fiction, right? So it doesn't do anything. But the people that worship the state, the zealots that believe in the religion called statism, or rather the state of whatever, um, are the ones that come with their guns and force you to feel the real existence of their fiction called the state. Now, the thing is no, I haven't always believed this way. I've been reading the statutes and codes and the Constitution and reading other ideas and considering other people's beliefs as well. And it just boils down to the state. The belief in the state is a religion, because you've got people like you're a lawyer, your whole job requires the existence of the state and the application of state codes or regulations or whatnot. But without that state, you got nothing. And without the men with guns going out there and forcing people to do what the fiction the state says to do, even though it can't say anything or do anything, they make you feel like it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Because they will physically take you and put you in jail. They will shoot you. They will taser you. They will beat the fuck out of you. They'll flip your car off the road. Now, if I were to do that, there'd be a problem. But if I have permission from the fiction called the state to do that, then it's okay? I don't think so. That's not the laws of nature. That's the laws of bullshit and propaganda. Now, when you say, well, if you're in the state, the laws of the state apply, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, because
But we know that the state is a fiction, right?
the state is a fiction in the sense that, yes, it's not a living, breathing entity. It is or organization
It's not a
among
place.
the
It's a
minds of
political
men.
body, right?
It's a political body, but it also on paper has listed
It's civic
geographic terms, right? The state has listed on its founding documents geographic markers, like the borders of the state of New Jersey shall be X, Y, and Z coordinates, right?
Right, right,
So
right. It's
it,
just like, the Bloods and the Crips, they got their areas too. They got their geographic boundaries.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so they're territorial gangsters,
I didn't
and
say, well,
they have
I didn't say that.
laws.
I didn't say that. I said an organization. Fictional entities can have geographic boundaries. That's what I'm saying. And then your idea is that because it's purely a fictional entity, it has or should not have any authority whatsoever, because it exists only on paper, right? Or in the minds
Well,
of
it has
men.
authority over its own creations. Whatever it creates, it has authority over, right?
Well, the idea is that
14th Amendment
the
citizen.
well, the 14th Amendment is a fiction. Why are you even citing that in the first place? 14th Amendment only exists on paper, right?
Right.
So then why are you even bothering to bring it up in the first place?
Well, it talks about the creation of a citizen that is subject to its jurisdiction.
Okay. And then
That's a,
are
a
you
creation of its own.
right? But it applies within the geographic boundaries of the United States, or the jurisdiction of the United States, and the United States is defined in part by its geographic boundaries. And then
Right.
the idea is, so if you're
The
going to
United States is actually its jurisdiction is limited to 10 miles square and other outposts and other properties that it buys for itself. So basically, the United States government the federal government is limited to federal territories, and basically the police roaming around are like Walmart security guards stepping off of Walmart property and going around and pulling people back in.
well,
You know,
here's something I'm going to disagree with you wholeheartedly. The United States includes the 50 states. The United States
right?
the territory of the United States includes
And
the
what is the
50
state?
states in the 50 U.S. states, not just simply federal
Okay,
enclaves.
so what is the state?
What is the state?
Right. And we've established that the state is a body politic,
It's a
right?
body
Not a
politic,
geographic
right?
location.
That is a given authority by its citizens, right?
Oh, I think if people had full disclosure as to the ramifications of what is constituted by these people, they wouldn't be consenting. But they don't know any better. They don't know the law. Most of them, like, remember last time when I was on um, your video game, we were talking about victimless crimes, and you
Right.
said you don't even agree with victimless crimes either. So that being said, if somebody goes to prison for a victimless crime, there
Mm-hmm.
is no body of the crime itself. There's no actual crime taking place, and they're going to prison for it.
It
It
depends on how
can't
you define
possibly.
crime, right? You say no crime has taken place, but you're define
A
that depends
crime
on
is where someone is injured or cause is suffering injury or loss, and that's case law.
what's the case
Um,
law then. Do you have the case law?
but then you
That's
got the victimless crimes of the state, right? And they're going to prison for a victimless crime, which means that the victimless crime laws are unconstitutional on their face.
again. According to who? You said that there's case law saying that victimless crimes. Well, you just now said that victimless crimes are unconstitutional. Where is that? Can you show me that case law?
It's cutting out. What?
You just said that victimless crimes are unconstitutional on its face, right? Uh-oh. Did we lose him again?
Now it's froze. Fucking piece of shit. What a
Yeah.
piece of crap.
There you go. You're back. You're
There
back.
it goes again.
Uh, one more time, just in case you didn't hear it. You said that victimless crimes were unconstitutional on its face. I'm asking, do
I
you
said
have
that.
do you have the? I thought you said that's what you said. I would like to know where you got that from.
Crime is defined as an offense against the state.
Crime is defined as an offense against the state,
It's freezing up.
right?
This is just bullshit. I don't have good enough internet for this.
Oh, well, I mean,
Maybe it'll smooth out in a second.
well, I don't want to do this because it may not be fair in a sense. But if you maybe turn off your video, it might help your bandwidth. If you just took the audio, that might be an option. I don't know.
Turn off what?
Video.
Turn off video. I don't know how to do that.
On the bottom right corner, you'll see the three dots. There you go.
Is that working?
Well, I mean, we can try it out for and see if you're getting a smoother signal.
Right.
Um,
Okay, so what were
crime. You
where
said
were we again?
you said a crime. You said a crime by definition has to have an injury, right? I want to know where you got that from.
Case law.
What case law?
Let's see if I can find it right now. Documents. Let's see if I can find this document.
Excuse me. Because I might have something here.
Hang on.
What?
Oh, go ahead. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, actually, the Constitution says that the government is instituted to protect and maintain individual rights. Therefore, to have a case, crime, or controversy, there must be a right controverted before the court.
Wait.
The duty of this court, as of every tribunal, is limited to determining rights of persons or of property which are actually controverted in the particular case before it. Tyler versus Judges of the Court of Registration. I have tons more. Like
Tyler versus who? Judges.
Tyler versus Judges of the Court of Registration.
Is that 179 US 405?
Yes.
Here. Okay, so already we're having an.
So this basically backs up the Constitution, where it says that the government is established to protect and maintain individual rights. Therefore, the only thing the court should be controverting are the determination of rights. Unless you're in contract law, then that's a whole different realm, right? You get into commercial law or contract law, then you got a dispute between two corporations. But see, that might be the nexus that they're operating under.
Yeah, this is a civil suit, though. This isn't a criminal matter.
Huh?
This is a civil suit.
I can't hear you.
This is a civil suit and not a criminal case. So I'm not really sure the court is talking about what the states are allowed to regulate or criminalize in this discussion.
Well, in the first place, we just said that the state is a body politic, right? We just said that it's a fiction.
Okay.
It's not really a geographic location.
Okay.
So in order for the state codes to apply, you have to be in the state. But we don't even live, even if it's the geographic location, we don't live in it. We live on it.
Well, okay.
You can't be in it. You're in it when you're dead.
Well, here's
the internet is glitching.
Well, here's the
right. And all crimes are commercial.
No, not.
I don't have that case law.
No, not all. I know not all crimes are commercial, and I know exactly the citation that people love to use for that, and it's really asinine. But even if like going back to your citation here, which I don't think it says what you think it says, but even if it say for example that it does, this is also the Supreme Court saying this. The Supreme Court, which is formulated by a fictional body politic. So why are you even relying on it as an authority in the first place if you don't even acknowledge its authority? Yep. You there? Bueller? And we've gone. hold on. Wait for him to come back. He's been having issues, internet issues, so I'm not gonna take it as him, you know, leaving. Open a box. I don't know what you mean by that, Awazu. What, a crate? What? Well, I have a Fallout crate. But I was gonna save that for tomorrow. I haven't opened it yet. Hold on. I haven't opened this one up yet. Hold on. We're gonna wait for him to come back. See if I got an email from him. Hold on. But yeah, that's one of those things that I have to ask him when he comes back. Is, you know, I understand where he's coming from in the idea of not buying into fictional entities, right? But then at the same time, why are you relying on them as an authority to further your argument about what you can and can't do? If you don't acknowledge these fictional entities as an authority, you shouldn't give a shit what the Supreme Court says, or what it allows, or what it authorizes it, because you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want, because what do you care of what some fictional entity says, right? So that's something I wanted to ask. If he's able to come back. Yo.
Wow, the internet is horrible. It took a while of buffering and then refreshing, and then it came back. So.
No worries. I get it.
So anyways, K. Lemon brought up that it depends on what the meaning of the word "in" is. Like, as in, if you are in the state, what actually determines the state's a body politic? What puts you into that state?
Well, the first answer I would give would be if you are within the territorial boundaries of the state as defined by its, as defined by itself, on paper, right? Like I said before, like the state of New Jersey, the border between New Jersey and Pennsylvania is the Delaware River. So that would be the definition of "in." So if you are in the state of New Jersey, you're within the territorial boundaries of the state of New Jersey as defined as such, right?
Okay, but the state is also the plaintiff.
Depending on where you're at, but yes, you could have a private prosecution, but that's a whole other matter. But yes, ultimately, it's the state versus Artie, or the state versus Wazoo, right? But that hold on, but that applies regardless of the crime. In other words, regardless of whether it's murder or a traffic citation, the state's the one who's prosecuting it.
Right. So you know the definition of plaintiff, right?
Yeah, it's a civil term.
Huh?
Plaintiff is as defined in a civil context, yes.
Criminal or civil or any. I've only seen one definition of the plaintiff.
Well, in criminal matters, it's prosecution and defendant, and plaintiff and defendant in civil matters.
Okay, but the prosecutor is not the one it's the state that's coming, and the prosecutor is just acting on behalf of the fiction because the fiction can't do anything of its own. It doesn't exist. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't witness anything. The prosecutor's not a witness to anything. He's just there.
He's operating on behalf of the state, correct? Yes.
Okay.
On behalf of the people of New Jersey, the people of the state of New Jersey.
Where would you look to find your definition of plaintiff if you were to search for it in legal terms to use in a court?
I mean, well, I don't think
Valentine's, Black's Law. Where do you find it?
Probably the latest edition of Black's Law would be fine. Hell, even in the earliest definition of Black's Law would probably have a definition of a plaintiff is in a civil context, right? Okay. I doubt my rules of civil procedure in New Jersey would need to have a definition of plaintiff.
We're talking about a criminal case because the state is the plaintiff, right?
I mean, if you want to define the state as a plaintiff in that context, sure.
I don't have P in the first edition. We got P in the second edition. I'll come down here and find plaintiff, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N.
Let me get my copy up here.
What version do you got?
Well, it's because of I think I have the 4th and 5th edition on here on my computer.
I have a handful of them. But I looked it up in Valentine's and memorized it. And plaintiff is an artificial or natural person that institutes an action in his own name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're saying that you have to be in the state for the state's laws to apply. So I would say that they're accusing you of being in the plaintiff. And a plaintiff is an artificial natural person who institutes an action in his own name. Therefore, you cannot be physically located in the plaintiff.
Okay.
And that's a fatal flaw.
How?
What do you mean? Logically, it's a fatal flaw in logic. I know in Mickey Mouse land it's okay, but in reality, it's not so.
Well, let's put it this way, and this is also something I mentioned in our discussion earlier. The recognition of sovereignty or the recognition of the authority of so-called quote-unquote fictional entities is not exactly a new concept. It's been a thing for a very, very, very long time.
Right, but that doesn't mean it's logical or even
well, no, I'm not. I'm not necessarily saying that, but you seem to act as if it's crazy, or it's something unprecedented.
Okay, I got Black's Law second up, and plaintiff is a person who brings an action, the party who complains or sues in a personal action, and is so named on the record.
Okay. Now, is that I can only assume that that's in the civil context, right?
That's what it sounds like. We don't have, but it's always somebody coming and making a complaint, right? The police officer complains that he saw you as a witness violate the code of the state.
Right.
You offended his badge by not. Now he has to get some money out of you because all crimes are commercial, and they need to make their money. They need to get the share of the spoil.
Come on now. Not all crimes are commercial. Please tell me where you're getting that so I can quickly debunk it, because that's really I've seen that people say that over and over.
You didn't
and
like
over
that
again.
one?
No, I see it all the time, and I know exactly where they're citing it. They're citing it from an ATF, a federal ATF regulation.
Like, yeah, but any time you exchange money, that's a commercial transaction, is it not?
I'm sorry, hold on a second. You said all crimes are commercial, right?
Right.
All crimes.
They make money off of you.
Right? All crimes. Don't. In other words, what I'm saying is, don't say all crimes are commercial and then walk back the moment I tell you that out of that citation, rape, assault,
did I
and
walk
murder
back?
aren't included in that. So no, not all crimes are commercial, right?
Well, if they're getting money for it, it's a commercial transaction.
How is the
Anytime the
state
state
getting
asks for
money in a
money, anytime you ask for money, anytime I ask for money, I'm involved in commerce.
how is the state getting money in a murder case?
Oh man, the internet sucks.
Can you answer can,
You
can you answer me that? How does the state get money in a criminal case? Excuse me, in a murder
oh
case?
my god, this internet is driving me crazy. I think it's frozen up again.
No, no.
Oh, there we go. I hear you. Try it again.
We're good? You can hear me?
Yeah, try it again. What was the
Okay.
question?
I was asking, how does the state get money in a murder trial or in a murder case?
What are you talking about? There's always a fine. There's always a fine. There's always a money attachment. And then you go to prison and they make money off of you on the prison plantation. It's all on the stock market. You can see it. It's all money.
So,
Shit, statutes and codes are monetized.
so first degree murder is a commercial crime in the state's eye. Is that what you're saying?
Do they ask for money
I don't know of any.
in the penalty,
I don't know of any
or do
state
they just do
that
they kill you, or
I, they would throw you in prison, and
right?
that
But there
usually
would probably be
and
a
that usually
fee attached.
and that usually costs the state money to hold you in prison.
That's the PR, I think, but they got you. They're making money off of you. You can find it in the stock market if you do enough research.
So a prisoner in the county lockup is being sold on an exchange somewhere, like his number.
That's to do with bonds and things like that.
All right, this is kind of actually new to
Not
me.
bond.
So again, going
I've
back
been
again,
I've been through a lot of
I want to go
information over the years.
I want to go back to that. You adhere to this idea that all crimes are commercial, and that includes crimes like assault, murder, etc. Right? Like, doesn't matter if there was no actual transaction during the commission of the crime itself. The fact is that there is some sort of exchange happening throughout the process.
Hmm? Oh,
Okay.
in the actual crime itself, like somebody commits murder, there's no commerce involved in that. It's the charging. When they bring you to the court, that's a commercial transaction.
Wait,
They got stocks.
when somebody's
The prisons
arraigned,
have
there's a
stocks
transaction
on
happening.
you.
So
What's that?
when you're brought into an arraignment, there's like a stock being created or bond being
The internet is
exchanged.
a shit show. I tell you what. Plaintiff, a person who brings an action, the party who complains or sues, and personal and is named on the record.
Okay.
Plaintiff in error. Use plaintiff. I'm not able to hear you part of the time. Sorry. It
That's all
keeps
right.
skipping.
I'm reading what you're reading. I just excuse me. Well, apparently fourth edition still holds that same definition right there.
Yeah, that was fourth.
Well, let's go back to this idea of the idea of you want
Oh my god, I hate this internet. This is horrible.
you know what? I just realized that nobody's seeing what I'm seeing. Holy shit! Hold on. What the hell? Nobody's been watching what I've been watching this entire time. Shit. Hang on. My bad, guys. Jesus.
They can see your screen too.
No, they're seeing a blank screen. Hold on a second, damn it. Whoops.
A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O. So I mean O. God damn it! Can I just
why is it
fucking...
not working anymore? What the hell?
Can I search this thing? Oh, maybe I can search it.
All right, you know what?
P-L-A-I-N-T-I-F-F.
You know what?
Let's see if this thing will search.
I'm gonna drop this.
No? It won't search.
There.
Well, whatever.
Pretense. There. All right, now everybody can see what's going on. There we go.
Plaintiff.
Well, we can have a discussion.
Use Zoom.
What's that?
Oh, people are telling me we should use Zoom or Discord.
Well, I mean, I feel like I feel like the internet on your end isn't going to help because Google Meet has always been actually decently reliable. My issue is just a matter of I think it might be the internet itself being the issue, rather than the platform that we're using.
Well, I'm away out at a hotel room, so it's shoddy here.
Gotcha.
Have you read Mark Stevens' motion to dismiss by any chance?
Yes, I have.
And why do you think that doesn't have any validity?
Because I have yet to see it being successful. I have yet to see any court accept it as rule on the merits on anything that Mark Stevens has advocated. And in fact, the only times I've seen Mark Stevens or cases where Mark Stevens was involved in, at least on the federal or state level, he has lost on. Because a lot of it, as what you
about
said,
on appeal?
I'm sorry?
Did you follow up to see if he won or lost on appeal? He usually appeals everything and wins.
I haven't seen an appeal from somebody who's used his tactics, and then the only time where I've seen him actually being named in a federal case, I have not seen an appeal there.
Oh. Well, allegedly he got started because he was growing pot in his backyard in California, and he beat that case, and that's where he kind of became what he is now. And I know people in Washington that have used his motion and have lost in the lower court, but when they went to appeal, they won. They reversed it and dropped it.
Well, see, the thing is, like, I feel like I should be able to see those more often because more often than not, the appellate court decisions are more accessible. Even those that are unpublished.
He posts all the success stories on his website and posts up the documents themselves
behind a paywall.
Like,
I
takes
bet.
a picture and posts them up, but I don't know. I don't do all that kind of research, and I probably should, because then I could just raise up one of those in a court and be like, "Here you go. Here's your higher court already determined that this document has grounds, and you don't. So there you go. Have a good day."
Well, I will give you a little bit of advice, though, in that it'll take a little bit more than just waiving a copy of the decision in the middle of trial for you to get convince the court. You kind of need to be a little bit more detailed than that. But
not in the middle of trial. You do that at the very beginning. You don't have jurisdiction, buddy. Sorry.
Well, here's that.
Your fiction don't exist.
Well, see that. Well, that's
Artie's
your problem,
fiction
though.
is a fiction.
Well, that's your problem, though. You keep. The fact that here's the problem: the fact that you're even at the appellate level implies that you're accepting the court's jurisdiction.
Right, I know. It sucks. You got to play their game to get them off you.
I mean,
Get the mafia off of you.
I mean, if you want to go into going back to our original opening argument, yes, the thing is that the state or the municipality or the federal government is the only fictional entity, or one of the only fictional entities where we give them the use of force. You know, they're the ones that we and by we I mean the people who elect those legislatures who in power, or the people who are appointed to those executive offices who enforce the laws. We give them that authority through the consent of the governed. That's how that. I think what I'm saying is that's how.
I didn't join the consent. I never once did. I didn't sign that document. Sorry, I wasn't there.
Here's the problem: you're in the territory itself, so the state doesn't need the literal consent of every single individual, the personal consent of every single individual, in order to enforce its laws on you, because though they are considered sovereign, they are considered to
even though its laws are contrary to their founding document, their master corporate charter. Even though they violate that, they can do what they want, right?
Okay, one, you need to explain how they're violating their own corporate charter, and two, who are you to tell them that they're violating their own corporate charter when you don't even acknowledge their authority in the first place?
They don't have authority when they're acting outside of their corporate charter. If they're not protecting rights, the government was instituted to protect and maintain individual rights, not enforce statutes and codes under color of law. There's no victim, there's no crime. Like, it's logic. It's plain, simple logic.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you. All right, for the love of God, statutes and codes are law. They are a type of law.
They're your law.
They are law. They're law. They are defined as law. Go to Black's Law Dictionary right now and look up the definition of statute. Go.
It's a legislative rule given the force of law.
Yes.
A legislative rule given the force of law. It's not law. It's color of law.
It
looks like law because they wear costumes and what they will kill you.
Then what is law according to you? How are laws created? How are laws derived then according to you? What is an actual law to you?
Mostly from religion.
What?
So I'm looking up statute. Mostly from religion is where law comes from. Otherwise, you have the law of nature or the basic principles of being either honorable or dishonorable.
Who defines what is honorable and dishonorable?
The best definition I could give you is just biblical. It's just do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you want to be robbed, then sure, go around and rob. If you want to be killed, go around and kill. Somebody's going to kill you eventually. You want to rape, somebody's probably going to kill you though too. But it's just basic principles of being a logical and peaceful being while you're on Earth.
Again,
quite simple. I don't.
Sounds unbelievably
you guys
subjective.
the other night.
I mean, you realize
talking about doing 90 through the school zone, and I'm like, would you do 90 through a school zone? Because I wouldn't.
Right.
And if somebody else would, then maybe you should be watching for that.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? I don't have the time of day to watch a school zone every single day to make sure that people aren't going 90. That's why I have the cops to do that for me. That's what they're paid for.
I know.
That right? That's where my taxes go.
I'm just being sarcastic.
Here's going back to what you just said though. You realize that what is honorable and dishonorable, varies from culture to culture, right?
Right.
So how can you say that I mean, so that goes to my varying point. Who decides what is or is not dishonorable when it could be very different? Your idea of what is or is not dishonorable can be completely different from your next door neighbor. And so how are we going to reconcile that in case there's going to be some sort of conflict between each other or a conflict with your neighbor?
How did you used to reconcile it? That's what the courts were originally for. If somebody violates your rights, then you go and you institute an action in your own name, making a complaint against somebody who caused you loss or damages.
Whoa,
if you have no loss or damages, you have no standing.
What courts? What courts? Courts get its authority from who?
That's what the courts were set up for, allegedly. Otherwise, we just go out and
who set up
fight
the
about
courts?
it.
Who set up the courts?
The system did.
I thought the system was a fictional entity with no authority over any man.
If you give it jurisdiction, obviously it's got jurisdiction, dummy. Come on.
Okay,
it's by the consent.
So then you do acknowledge fictional entities having authority if you consent to them, right?
If that's where people want to go, I don't personally do that, but I'm about to. I'm about to sue some fucking pigs and a judge.
Okay. You know they have sovereign immunity, right?
They lose immunity when they act outside their corporate charter. They have no immunity when they are acting outside the bounds of the Constitution.
Well, I'm sure the court's going to make that determination. But again, you keep on saying that you want to. The fact that you're filing a lawsuit again acknowledges the authority of the court to enforce, those acts upon itself.
Enforcing statutes and codes. I am questioning the constitutionality of other people's actions that are pretending to be government.
Okay, you keep saying pretending to be government. You keep saying you're saying pretending to be government, but again, government is a fictional political entity. What my overarching point here is that you insist on saying that fictional. What? Hello?
The government has liability not to violate your rights, right?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the one who doesn't believe in fictions having authority.
Statute. An act of the legislature declaring, commanding, or prohibiting something, a particular law enacted to establish by the will of the legislative department of government, the written will of the legislature, solemnly expressed to the according necessary, constitute it the law of the state. Such may be public or private, declaratory, mandatory, directory, or enabling in nature for the mandatory directory statutes. See directory and mandatory statutes.
Sounds like it's a law to me. That sounds like a law to me, but my issue, yeah.
If it's a law, then why is it a statute? Why is it a code? The law is a law.
Well, here's the thing: a statute, because there are several types of law. There is law that is created through judicial decisions. So judicial precedent, which is what we would call common law. Laws handed passed that is formulated through judicial decisions over the years. And there's laws that are passed by a legislature. And then there's regulations that are promulgated by executive agencies that are also enforceable, that also have the force of law, as you would say. So there are different types of law. And a code is simply an organization of statutes. And the reason why I say that is because, when you say, because let me give you an example. when U.S. law, U.S. federal law is codified, and that means is that Congress meets every year and they pass laws on healthcare, for example, or immigration, as another. It's the statutes at large that they're passed. They're organized by the date that they're passed by the Congress that passed it. So it's by timeline. Well, if I want to know, okay, I needed to help this person out who's an immigrant and he's subject to removal. I need to figure out some vagaries of immigration law. Well, it's going to be a pain in the fucking ass if I have to look through several different sessions of Congress to figure out what does the immigration law as a whole says. So instead, what they've done is they've organized U.S. law by subject matter. So no matter when the law was passed, or when the subject law was passed by whichever Congress, it is in a specific area that I can go to very easily and say, okay, this title 42 or title 50 is all immigration law, and I can go there and I'm going to be able to see what U.S. law on immigration says without having to go do a whole bunch of research on so many different areas of Congress. That's what codification does.
Right.
And that's at the state level and that's at the federal level. So again, a code is merely an organization of statutes. Statutes are merely laws passed by legislature. It is just simply a form of law.
Right, under the executive branch.
What's that? What's that?
Under the executive branch.
Under the legislative branch.
Legislative. Right.
A regulation is a rule passed by, or rule promulgated by, an executive agency. However, that rule has to be authorized by statute, because again, at the end of the day, the only group that can pass laws in that manner is the legislature. You have in and I'll give you another example. In New Jersey, I think around in the 1970s, they got rid of all common law crimes. In other words, any crime that somebody's going to be charged with in the state of New Jersey has to be under statute. So, in other words, if I were to burglarize somebody's house and saying, and the prosecutor at my arraignment, the prosecutor's be like, this is Artie. He is being brought in under the common law crime of burglary. That can't happen anymore. It's now under NJSA 2C:2-45 burglary. That in the idea of doing so that's where you're getting the idea of common law crimes, because a lot of crimes that are defined by statute were actually formulated in by judges. It was formulated under common law, under the English law. So burglary, the way so I remember this in law school. The common law crime of burglary is the unlawful breaking and entering of a dwelling house of another at nighttime with the intent to commit a crime therein, or a felony therein. All those different elements that you just had, those were all like created by judges, like over like the decades and hundreds of years. Nowadays, a lot of those crimes that you would say are legitimate, because they cause harm or property damage to another, they have been codified, or they have been turned into statute by the legislature.
Skip. Okay. So I have this case law here says that any judge who does not comply with his oath to the Constitution of the United States, wars against that Constitution, engages in acts in violation of the supreme law of the land. The judge is engaged in acts of treason. Cooper versus Aaron.
Okay.
Then you got the Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2 says the Constitution and laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all the treaties, all which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Okay. Now, that's what I'm saying is when a legislative rule or a code or whatever you want to call it is contrary to what the Constitution says, it has no standing. So all those victimless crimes are unconstitutional on their face.
Well, you just created a wild logical fallacy there. You said that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Okay, I get that. But then you say, therefore, victimless crimes are unconstitutional. I'm seeing a disconnect there. Where
nobody's rights were violated. Nobody was damaged. Nobody suffered loss. You got nothing. And even then,
under the
nobody can raise the rights of another.
10th Amendment, though.
Under the what? What about the 10th Amendment?
The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. And that has long been established as the states have having, and this is the next avenue that we're going into, the enforcement of police powers. Now, I don't know, and I know that I'm sure you know what police powers are, and that's probably the biggest contention that we have here, because the police powers doctrine is the formulation of those so-called victimless crimes, right? So throughout our judicial precedent, victimless crimes have been upheld and enforced as legitimate. So I'm not seeing where you're getting the idea that victimless crimes are inherently unconstitutional.
It's not logical. What are you talking about? You want to put someone in prison because he gets high on marijuana or methamphetamine or whatever he chooses to get high on? Like, why does he deserve to go to prison because of his choice of intoxicant? Let's put it that way. That's a good victimless crime.
That's an academic discussion that you and I have. The issue is whether or not the state has to... Dude, I agree with you with it, at least in some respect, to your point. The issue isn't whether or not it's good, whether or not it's whether or not it's good policy. The issue is whether or not the state has the authority to enact that law and enforce it, right?
I don't think it does. I think it's unconstitutional.
You saying it does, and you say
illogical.
You saying it doesn't under the Constitution, but I'm not seeing where that is. Gideon versus Rainwright explicitly says
whose rights are violated when somebody's getting high on drugs. Tell me that. Whose rights are violated in that instance?
Gideon versus Rainwright says explicitly that the states can have, or the feds can have, these drug laws in place. Whether or not you agree with that, with
they can enforce them over themselves.
Whether or
but
not
they can't enforce them over the people.
Okay,
we're a separate entity.
Okay, no, I'm sorry.
We are not
laws
part
of the United States apply to everybody here.
Okay, only by the barrel of a gun, and not by logic, and not by honor. But just to make that system some more money, sure. Make those pieces of shit that go around doing whatever the hell they want. They don't abide by the law. Are you kidding me? They're picking up little kids and taking them home, getting away with it.
Okay. Well, the problem that we're having here is again, we're going into the idea of the rule of law, and if you're not saying that if you're saying like, I don't give a flying fuck what the Supreme Court says and whether or not those laws are logical or not, I agree with you in a sense that there are plenty of laws passed by the United States and our states that are illogical, don't work, and don't do what they claim that they're supposed to do. And oftentimes there are going to be
Right.
laws that are nothing more than a revenue generation for the state. I agree with you that there are some stupid ass laws out there. That's not the issue. The issue is whether or not that they actually have the authority to pass those laws in the first place. And I'm saying that in most of those instances they do, and they do through precedent that has been already passed previously, and has already been adjudicated by prior courts. So what I'm saying is that yes, just because a law is stupid doesn't mean it's unconstitutional.
Okay, fair enough.
It comes down to your policy preferences, and yeah, a lot of our drug laws are pretty stupid, but again, stupid doesn't mean unconstitutional.
Yeah, I don't think it's constitutional because there are no rights being violated. The Constitution says that the government is instituted to protect and maintain individual rights. How is some idiot tweaker running around getting high on drugs, violating people's rights? It's not the drug. Sure, the person might go out there and steal your battery out of your car, your stereo out of your car. That's a crime. And I'd probably shoot him for that, or at least hit him with my BB gun.
The power vested in a state to establish laws and ordinances for the regulation and enforcement of its police as above defined. The power vested in the legislature to make, ordain, and establish all manner of wholesome and reasonable laws, statutes, and ordinances, either with penalties or without, not repugnant to the Constitution, as they shall judge to be for the good and welfare of the Commonwealth and the subjects of the same. An authority conferred by the
good and welfare of the Commonwealth. Yep. To protect and maintain individual rights is another way to say it. The Constitution says it clearly. The government was instituted to protect and maintain individual rights. However, there are no rights being violated when you're driving down the road, minding your own business, have a suspended license because you forgot to pay a ticket, and those jackasses just want to put your ass in jail and get more money out of you.
Well,
so they make up this quasi-crime, this bullshit fictional realm to pull you into, to suck you dry, and it's just a bullshit system. That's all it is. It's just a fucking bullshit system. You're not hurting anybody. You didn't do anything wrong, but then the policy enforcement agent comes in with his gun, and he will fucking kill you if you don't abide by his orders. If you run, they'll shoot you in the back like the coward pieces of shit they are, the gangsters, the territorial piece of shit gangsters they are. That's just, if I go out there and do that, what is it called? If I go pull someone over and I take their Harley from the side of the road because he doesn't have an endorsement, what is that called if I do it? What if I take somebody's property without their permission? What's it called? Theft. But if I put a badge on and I have the authority of this fiction called the state, I can steal your property without your consent. By the consent of the governed, but this guy says, I don't consent, and yet you still are going to force your authority down his throat.
Okay, because you're in the territory. You're in the jurisdiction.
It's a fictional realm.
Let's get down the brass.
It's a fictional realm.
Let's get down the
Loca.
Dude, your spouting of what your rights are fucking fictions in and of themselves. They're concepts to begin with. So why the fuck should anybody else respect your fictional concept of rights, of property and life? At this point, you're basically saying that because you don't like these certain types of crimes, you do not have to abide by anything that anybody else says, as long as you are not, doing anything, right? My point is that you are being selective in terms of how you are acknowledging the authority of fictional entities. because you won't accept the authority of the state of Washington or the state of New Jersey or the U.S. government, but you are sure as shit going to cite the U.S. Constitution, which is nothing more than a piece of fucking paper that's 230 years old.
Exactly.
Saying, hey, this piece of paper that can't breathe, can't do anything, says that I can do whatever the fuck I want as long as I'm not hurting anybody.
Right. Because that's what they say. They say that they are instituted by the Constitution. It's their PR scam. So you got to hold them to it.
Why would you even bother holding it to them when you don't even acknowledge them in the first place?
Who said I don't acknowledge them?
You! This entire endeavor has been about you saying that these are nothing more than fictions. These are nothing more than non-living, non-breathing entities that should have no enforcement and no authority over any other man.
Right. That's what we're talking about is logic. Plain and simple logic. There's a man or a woman with a gun who is forcing fictional shit.
And yet you are relying on fictional concepts to enforce your so-called rights.
That's what they say, isn't it? That they are established by the Constitution? Hello? That's the whole PR scheme. Public relations says that we are established by this Constitution. This is our law. That's what they say. So if they come at you and attack you, why would you not attack back with their own bullshit? That's illogical.
Why would you even bother associating it with them in the first place?
Well, if for that matter, I might as well just build an army and everybody get armed up and get rid of these fucks then, right? We'll just go out to all-out war, because that's the only other option. No, they have a constitution. They're supposed to be bound by it. And we have to be diligent to hold them to it.
You want them to be
if they want to, if otherwise they could just come out on TV and say, hey, sorry, you guys are all slaves and you're all our property and we can do whatever the hell we want to you. And the Constitution is nothing. And they can wipe their ass on TV with it. They can burn it and say the Constitution is just a piece of paper with words on it. We're not bound by it. It was just a PR scam the whole time. Sorry. You guys are slaves.
If it's a PR scam,
now go back home.
If it's a PR
put the mask on and shut the fuck up.
Again, why? Why would you?
You know what I'm saying?
No,
they're the ones that are pretending to be constitutional.
Okay, yeah, but you seem to want to be diligent in interpreting the Constitution the way you see it. But again, if you don't even acknowledge,
I'm just reading the words as it says. What do you mean the way I see it? The words speak for themselves.
No, the way you see it, because according to our Constitution, the Constitution that I abide by, the interpretation of the Constitution is not up to you. It's up to the judges. It's up to the judiciary. And if the judiciary says, no, you're fucking wrong in your interpretation on the Constitution, who the fuck are you to say that they are wrong? Because you don't even acknowledge their authority in the first place.
Okay, well, I guess I'll have to talk to you after I file a lawsuit and I either win or lose. And then we'll have a conversation about it. How about that?
That's my point. You know, what does the Constitution say that the Constitution acknowledges that the judiciary the legislative branch makes the laws, the judiciary interprets the laws, and the executive enforces the laws, right? So the fact is that if you're going to say that, no, this is what the Constitution says, why the hell should anybody pay attention to what you claim the Constitution to say or to mean?
I didn't claim it says anything. I just read it. Read it.
No, you read it.
It just says what it says.
You're reading it. Come on. You're reading it. You're interpreting it, and you're drawing a conclusion from it. I mean,
there's no interpretation other than the government was instituted to protect and maintain individual rights. Can you argue with that? Is that what it's instituted for?
Yeah.
Okay. So why are they doing anything but controverting
but guess what rights? But guess what they also acknowledge? Police powers of the state.
Blah blah blah. Who cares? Police powers or for
that the
to keep
the
the
legislature
peace.
has the authority. The legislature has the authority to make, ordain, and establish all manner of wholesome and reasonable laws, statutes, and ordinances, either with penalties or without, not repugnant to the
Wholesome and
Constitution,
reasonable.
as they
What's
judge.
the definition of that?
But that's my point. But that's exactly my point.
Shit.
Dude, you're making my point. Who defines what is or is not reasonable? It's not you. You can argue what is or isn't reasonable.
So they do. So it's reasonable for them to throw you in jail because you want to get drunk, Artie. Get off that alcohol. We're going back into prohibition. You're going to prison for having alcohol now.
If I drive drunk, then yeah, I'm going to be thrown in, right?
No, I mean, if we go into prohibition, you can't have alcohol. You're going to prison, buddy.
Yeah.
What? How's that reasonable?
It's a stupid law.
How's that wholesome? Right.
But it
has right. Is that wholesome?
But it can be challenged, right?
Right. We should be challenging them all of them.
So if you want to challenge it, go ahead and make your point.
Right.
I mean, that's it's called due process, right? Oh, which is also a
fictional. Oh, they don't give you due process.
Which is also a fictional concept, right?
Yeah. Due process is judge, jury, and executioner right there on the side of the road taking your ass to jail. Without a warrant, without probable cause, without nothing. That's how it all works. They take your property. They just do what they want. No hearing till after you suffer some loss of life, liberty, or property.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, you've already basically saying...
Hale versus Hinkle kind of lays it out pretty good. Like,
no, it doesn't, because, again, that's a civil suit.
It don't matter. It tells you straight up, we owe no duty to the state or to our neighbors to open our doors to an investigation so far it may intend to criminate them. What happens on the side of the road?
That has to do with the court's subpoena power, dude.
They're investigating you right there on the side of the road to see what they can get out of you.
It has to do with the court's subpoena power in a civil suit.
That's your interpretation.
That is exactly what they're saying, dude. I'm sorry, but you're the one who's interpreting it as it applying to criminal investigations.
Auditron wants to call in. Oh man, that's funny.
I mean, have you not read? I mean, oftentimes I have to deal with a lot of people who I just have these discussions with, and every single time they often quote like 2 sentences out of a case and think it makes their argument for them when they don't actually even know what the case is about.
I can read the rest of it.
I mean, hell, you could read the paragraph that it's in, and it should be pretty clear that it's talking about the subpoena power, and that the subpoena power.
Okay, let's read it. You ready?
Yeah, the subpoena power
was decided by the United States Supreme Court in 1906. The opinion of the court states the individual may stand upon his constitutional rights as a citizen. He is entitled to carry on his private business in his own way. His power to contract is unlimited. He owes no duty to the state or to his neighbors to divulge his business or to open his doors to an investigation so far as it may intend to incriminate him. He owes no duty to the state as he receives nothing therefrom beyond the protection of his life and property. His rights are such as existed by the law of the land long antecedent to the organization of the state and can only be taken from him by due process of law and in accordance with the Constitution. He owes nothing to the public so long as he does not trespass upon their rights. Hale versus Hinkle.
I'm pretty sure you're not even reading from the actual case.
Okay.
What page in the case is that from?
This is pulled from the case.
What page?
A trees on false. Have you read a trees on false arrest and false wrongful imprisonment or something like that?
What?
Do you have a copy of that?
Do you not know what the page is? Because it should be a full site, right? Hale v. Henkel, 201 US 43. It should be what page? What page there?
201, yes.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that's a fake quote. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, here I guess. I found it. Page 74. If, whenever an officer or an employee of a corporation were summoned before a grand jury as a witness, he could refuse to produce books and documents of such corporation upon the ground that they would incriminate the corporation itself, it would result in the failure of a large number of cases where the illegal combination was determinable only upon the examination of such papers. Conceding that the witness was an officer of the corporation under investigation and he was entitled to assert the rights of the corporation with respect to the production of its books and papers, we are of the opinion that there is a clear distinction in this particular between an individual and corporation, and that the latter has no right to refuse to submit his books.
There's a clear distinction between the individual and a corporation, right?
Yes, in civil suits, in the subpoena power, and the requirement for a corporation to come in.
May stand upon his rights, but the corporation can't. So they're treating us like corporations, forcing us to open our doors to investigation under color of law.
It has
not treating us as individuals.
It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with a criminal matter. When you are being accused of a crime,
right?
My God, I don't know why. I don't know how you guys are able to interpret it like this. Because that's what Hale
says. What it says. Law of nations. Welcome to the citizenship.
What, you think ship has something to do with maritime admiralty law? Please tell me you don't.
What do you think that gold fringe flag behind the fake judges are?
Oh, for fuck's sake! Are you serious? Please tell me you're not serious.
Look it up, dingus.
I know what it. Yeah, it's
what does
bullshit.
It say?
It's bullshit. That's what it is.
That's a military flag. It says so.
Oh my God.
Military tribunal.
Do you actually? Oh, come on, dude. Do you actually think that a gold fringe turns a court into a military tribunal? Please tell me you don't believe that.
I know people in the military that confirm that. Oh, what are you talking about? I asked.
Yeah,
I asked my brother. I said, "Hey, there's a gold fringe flag behind that judge in that courtroom," and he looked at me and he said, "What? Are you kidding me?
Your friend's an idiot.
That's reserved for a military tribunal."
No, he has to be trolling. Your friend's trolling you, right?
I've heard it from more than one military agent.
Well, that's fine that you heard it from one military agent, but for fuck's sake, dude, that's not what it is.
One. What is it then?
It is literally nothing more than a decorative fringe. It has no.
Oh, so they just do it on accident. It just they don't do anything they do on purpose, right? Right. They do everything they do on purpose.
It has no.
Everything has to be written specifically as well.
Do you think that do you think our laws like operate like some sort of like magic? Like that if if you dance a dance or
why do they think they're called magistrates?
Oh, for fuck's sake. All right, now I know you're fucking trolling me there.
Get your magic straight, Magi.
Now I know you're trolling me there. All right,
the words are in front of your face. Govern is control, mente, mind controllers. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me see here.
Eric Merritt says he served in the United States Marine Corps. He sailed the Navy ships. That was the only place he'd ever seen orange fringe, or he says orange fringe around the United States flag. It was on the military ship.
Let's see here. Sadlier versus Payne.
Everything the government does has meaning. Nothing is without, especially the flag. Very important.
The complaint often
cites
The complaint often cites the quote law of the flag end quote as a repository of all the rights guaranteed to a quote citizen in party end quote. The court's search for this quote unquote law yielded a brief and unavailing reference to maritime law, which provides that a vessel sailing into a port under a flag is considered to be part of the territory of the nation whose flag she flies. See citations here. By flying the flag, the ship owner gave notice to all those who entered into contracts with the ship's master that he intends the law of that flag to regulate those contracts. Flying the flag on a vessel thus had an effect similar to the present-day choice of law provisions found in many contracts. Apparently,
the flying of the flag tells you what law you're under. Admiralty, maritime.
Apparently, the plaintiff believes that when a court flies a yellow fringe flag, it has created a new quote-unquote foreign state power, end quote, within the sanctuary or territory of the bar within the courtroom. Accordingly, when the court acts, it acts outside the confines of the Constitution of the laws of the United States, and the judge is somehow transformed into the quote supreme ruler, end quote, of a foreign state power without a constitution. In addition, this action, displaying the yellow fringe flag, apparently strips all citizens of their constitutional rights and voids all contracts between the court and the citizen in party. By crossing and entering the bar of a court displaying the offending flag, a citizen in party himself gives up his quote-unquote common law constitutional rights. For the reasons discussed at length infra, it is obvious that the mere display of a yellow fringe flag does not have the conversionary effect the plaintiff claims. This is not the only case I have where somebody has made this kind of argument and the judge is like dismisses, like this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. This is one of many cases I've found where the judge is like, where the fuck are these people getting this shit from? Like, are you high? Like, sir, we are in Colorado. How are we in a maritime court? What are you talking about? And then I imagine you wonder why so many people, take the piss out of watching these videos, because just saying it on its face sounds so fucking absurd, and yet you want to talk to me about logic? Come on, man.
All right, you're in the state. Bow down and kiss the boots of your master, buddy.
Yep, just like the gold fringe means that we are in a maritime admiralty jurisdiction, and the ship's master has come to port the moment he crosses into the bar. Next, you're gonna tell me that next you're gonna tell me that the birth certificate is the docking instrument, because I came out of my mother's birth canal, as it were. That's how they get you.
It's the title to your body, isn't it?
Jesus.
Is it not?
No, it's a form of identification.
Oh, it says it's not right on it.
It's not a title to my body. What, you think a birth certificate is like the title to my car?
Isn't it?
I'm asking you. Is that what you're trying to say, that a birth certificate is the equivalent of a title to a car, like my car?
It could be.
It could be. You're not sure.
Seems plausible to me, but I don't know. I can't verify that.
I mean, you're the one who you made the claim.
I didn't make the claim. I said, isn't it? Is it possible that it is a title to your body?
No.
Is it possible?
No.
Yeah, it's possible. It's on the stock market.
How is it possible?
How is it not possible? What's a certificate of birth?
Don't shift the burden on me. You're the one making the claim that the birth certificate is now a title to a body. You are suggesting that the birth certificate is a title to one's body, and not only that it's also exchanged on the stock market.
That's been proven.
Oh, it's been proven. Where's that proof? Please provide me with that when you get a chance. I'd love to see that.
Okay. Care Bear was just looking at that the other day.
Who?
Decoration. I thought I'd see the example.
Let me see. Riviera versus United States. A birth certificate is not a contract. State versus Gibson. You cannot simply opt out of following the laws.
Can't simply opt out of what?
You cannot simply declare that you're opting out of the laws governing governing the territory that you're in.
Maybe not the actual laws like God's laws, but man's laws that are unconscionable. Yeah, I think there's a way to get out of that to where they can't touch you anymore.
How?
I don't know for sure
I'm
because I
sure.
don't have experience, but I know people that have done it or at least seen it.
I'm sure they've tried.
And I'm on my way.
And they failed.
I'm working on it. And when I have the proof, I'll show it to you. But I'm not that guy that's going to say that I can do it without doing it. So the proof is in the pudding. You'll see.
You know what? You're right. I have a Lexus alert. That should alert me to anytime somebody tries to make these arguments. And so far, they haven't exactly been successful.
No. This is outside court. This is where you don't go to court anymore.
Oh, you just don't even show up, right?
No, they can't even bring you in. They can't touch you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
People can get outside the jurisdiction of the corporate fiction.
Oh yeah, how's that? Oh, that's right. You said you're still trying to figure that one out, right?
I'm working on it. Yeah, I haven't experienced it yet, but I've done some process.
Let me see here. State versus Gibson.
There's always more to learn.
Gibson next argues that he has not accepted the motor vehicle operator's license, and by not accepting the license has not consented to be regulated in the free and, of course, responsible exercise of his rights of liberty and the use of his property, end quote. In other words, he contends that he need not obtain liability insurance or register his car unless he first agrees to obtain a law operator's license. Only then, according to Gibson, is a, quote, contract, end quote, with the state created, binding him to the laws related to the use of motor vehicles. The quote, rights of liberty...
He's a U.S. citizen, though, isn't he?
The rights of liberty, however, are not entirely free. Individuals must sacrifice part of their, quote, liberty, end quote, in order to empower a government to regulate through passage and enforcement of laws necessary for the general public welfare. John Locke, the English philosopher who wrote of government and freedom, said, quote, where there is no law, there is no freedom, end quote. Quoted in Blackstone Commentaries on the Law, 1941. A law is a, quote, an ordinance of reason for the common good made and promulgated by him who has care of the community, end quote. Quoting St. Thomas Aquinas.
The law is actually for the government itself. It's to limit government's authority or encroachment upon the people around it. That's like a corporation itself has to have a charter where it agrees that, it has its own charter, that it's not going to go outside of its own realm and damage other people.
That
makes no sense, the U.S. citizen under the 14th Amendment is pulled into that because the 14th Amendment citizen is a creation of Congress. If you are claiming to be a creation of government, then yes, government has statutory authority over you.
Okay, do you know
Congress has power?
Okay, do you know why the 14th Amendment was passed? Right.
Right. To take people out, the blacks off the slave plantation and put them back onto the United States slave plantation, and then incorporate everybody else into it too.
That's what you think. That's what you think the 14th Amendment was.
That's what they did.
It was not.
The 13th Amendment freed the slaves, and then the 14th Amendment gave them a citizenship.
It guaranteed their rights under the Constitution. Yeah.
No, it didn't. It took away the first 10.
No, it didn't.
Or at least 8.
How did the 14th Amendment take away the first 8 amendments of the Bill of Rights?
It put them under the jurisdiction of the United States. Read it. It says, and those who are under the jurisdiction thereof.
All citizens born or naturalized within the jurisdiction of the United States are citizens. Yeah. And they are entitled to their rights under the Constitution. It was intended to guarantee the right. It was
I was born in Washington.
It was intended to guarantee the rights of the freed slaves who were born within the territory in the jurisdiction of the United States.
Right.
But you're saying that it took away their rights.
Whether it's man-made law, there will always be slavery. Yeah, right. Exactly. Good. Article 4, Section 3, Clause 1 and 2. You want to type that in there?
Article what? Article what now?
Article 4, Section 3, Clause 1 and 2. I was seeing if Knowledge Well Media wants to type that in there or not. See what they're saying about this.
Article 1, Section 3, Clause 1.
Article 4, Section 3, Clause 1 and 2.
Article 4, Section 3, Clause 1 governs the admission of new states.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's what this...
What does that have anything to do with anything?
Yeah, I want to know what their point is, too.
Clause 2 involves the extradition of fugitives, which no longer applied after the Civil War.
Right.
Fugitive slave clause, again, no longer applies after the Civil War. So the 13th Amendment and 14th Amendment did away with Clause 2 and Clause 3 of Article 4. Yeah. Clause 3. Clause 2 dealt with fugitives. So that's fugitives in general, not just simply slaves. 3 specifically talked about fugitive slaves, which was, again, null and void after the Civil War with the passage of the 13th and 14th Amendments, because there's no longer slavery, right? So, yeah. So then what's the point of bringing up...
We're all slaves, brother. We're all slaves. You pay taxes on it, you don't own it.
I'm not a slave, right? How am I a slave?
You're a 14th Amendment slave. You're under their jurisdiction. If you don't pay taxes on your property, who comes and takes it? The owner of the property comes and takes the property. You're paying a user tax to use their property. Same with your car. Don't put tags on your car. See what happens. The man comes, demands money. You got to pay them to leave you alone. No matter which way you look, you got to pay them to leave you alone. That's called racketeering.
That's called government. That's
right. Government is terrorism.
That's the price of living in a civil society, right?
Good for you.
Nothing's
free. I'd rather be free. I'd rather be free.
Nothing is free.
Freedom ain't free, buddy.
Okay.
Some pig told me that.
Nothing is free.
Freedom ain't free. You got to pay for it. You got to buy your rights. You got to buy your privileges. You got to ask permission and bow down and kiss the boot of your master.
But you're
either free or slave. You got 2 options, and we're slaves, man.
You want that freedom, right? Like you want your rights protected, right? Who's going to protect your rights?
They're not protected. They're violated by those that claim to protect them.
Okay. And if a non-state actor decides to violate your rights, where are you going to go for your remedy?
What are you talking? I've never been violated by anyone but a statist.
Okay, I'm not talking about a statist. I'm talking about your next door neighbor, the guy in the room next to you,
What about my neighbor? My neighbors love me.
the guy who takes your laptop.
I don't have problems with my neighbors. I've never
Most
had a
people
problem
don't.
on the streets that I couldn't deal with.
Most people
I don't
don't
call
because
the
most
fucking
people adhere
police.
to most people adhere to the law. Most people respect
Don't
each
call them
other's rights,
motherfucking pigs.
and
Are you
most people
kidding me?
understand that there are consequences for violating others' rights, right? And who is going to
Yeah, they
enforce?
might get
And who is going to enforce those rights?
me.
You, on your own?
My own, my brothers. Shit, I got people that'll show up where I'm from.
That sounds like mob rule. Okay, sure.
No, it's not mob rule. We take care of ourselves. We don't need the cops to show up and cause more problems than they even solve.
Sounds like a gang to me.
What's the point?
I'm gonna get my brothers.
The police are a
I'm
gang.
gonna get my
What are you talking
homies.
about?
I'm gonna get my brothers and my homies, and I'm gonna get back at that motherfucker who wronged me. Right? Who?
Right, but nobody does that. That's what I'm saying is I don't have to do that. If I need it, it's there. I don't call 911.
I feel like you have
don't call 911.
I feel like you have a very
People
very
don't
high
just
opinion on
Want to
civil
go out
society.
and harm you?
I feel like you have a very, very high opinion on how civil society is restrained by the
I
authority
think
that
you worship
it is,
the government.
and that
You worship the government,
and that if
and you
tomorrow,
have to because you're a lawyer.
if the government disappeared tomorrow and the police disappeared
Oh,
tomorrow, I
I'd be
think
happy
you,
as hell.
yeah, I bet you would be happy as hell right up until somebody shoots you for your laptop. Because there is nothing
No way,
preventing
dude.
him from
I'm smarter than
taking it.
that. If the government disappeared tomorrow, I'd go out to the woods and wait for society to kill itself off and then come back out. You let all the idiots pan themselves out, and then you go from there. And we already have mob rule. You got people voting for bullshit, and the majority of the voters wins, right?
Mob rule isn't exactly voted on, right? Mob rule is controlled by as what you would say those in power,
Well,
right?
Policing neighbors.
Those
That's
would
basically what
you
it
keep
is.
on
Your neighbor's telling you what you can and can't do.
Yeah, you keep on saying like, you know, yeah, men with guns, police with guns. They have the power, they have the authority to do what they want, this and that and the other. Well, the problem.
Well, yeah, they're enforcing unjust laws.
Well,
That's
you're saying that you keep saying that they're enforcing unjust laws, but we as a civil society have methods in terms of trying to stop that. In other words, to overturn certain laws, to repeal certain laws. Is it difficult? Yes, but there is a process to that, and the thing is that
not enough people are doing it.
I agree with you that not enough people are doing it, but that's the whole point, is that the reason why we allow police to have this level of authority is that at least on paper, where there's supposed to be checks on that authority, right? You're supposed to be able to file a lawsuit and saying that the cop overstepped his bounds.
Right.
You're supposed to advocate for representatives who are going to say that they're going to demand more transparent policing, more accountable policing. That's how we operate in a civil society to change.
Yeah.
How
I think we should
right?
do away with the police and just retrain the sheriffs and build up the sheriff's office, because the police is a private company and they're not voted in.
Nice.
The sheriff is the only alleged constitutional constable.
Oh my God! You realize that constables only exist in Texas nowadays, right?
Who cares? The sheriff's the only one that's voted in, correct? Yes or no? Nobody votes on the police.
Not on New Jersey.
The police are a private company that are hired in.
Now, how is how is the sheriff's office not a corporation if the police are?
Say it again.
How is a sheriff's office or the county sheriff's office not a corporation if the county or the municipality or the police are considered corporations?
They all are corporations. Who said that?
So the sheriffs are also corporations.
All of government is a corporation.
So then why
everything that has a constitution is a corporation?
So anything under a constitution is a corporation.
Correct.
Well, I guess corporation, as in you think that they're no different than a McDonald's, right?
Well, McDonald's is under their superior course, Right.
Right.
They're a corporation.
So
they're a fiction.
They're literally no. Well, you say. Well, I understand that there are different types of fictions. There are different types of corporations, right? But you're saying that there's really no distinction between a McDonald's, that's a for-profit, private corporation, and your municipality that is a public corporation, that is a government entity, right? You're saying there's literally no difference between the two.
You think McDonald's is private?
Well, it's a publicly traded, but it's private, as in it's not owned by the government. The government doesn't own a McDonald's, or doesn't own McDonald's.
Okay. In that aspect, sure. But it's in the public.
I mean, Amtrak is a public company. The U.S. Postal Service is a public corporation in the sense that I think that you're trying to say it is, but you seem to say that the New Jersey State Legislature is no different than a McDonald's, or excuse me, the police, your local police, is no different than a McDonald's. It's it's a for private entity. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it's not a government agency.
Okay, it's not. It's a police. Your local police department is not a government agency.
It's contracted by the city, subcontracted. It's like hiring a security company.
Okay, so
they aren't voted in. The main police officer is not voted in. It's not constitutionally established the way that the sheriff is. The sheriff is the original constitutional constable. Whether you don't like the word constable, I don't care.
Well, my point.
That's what they are.
Well, if you're saying
they're supposed to be a peace officer,
if you're saying that they're all corporations, then what does it matter whether or not the police is police is constitutionally valid or not, or constitutionally established or not? If they're all corporations at the end of the day, so who cares?
Right.
I mean, so why
we don't need them?
Why bring it up in the first place?
What's more rogue?
I guess that's my point. Is what does it matter whether or not sheriffs are a true constitutionally ordained entity, when at the end of the day they're still a corporation, aka a fictional entity that we shouldn't even have authority in the first place? So why even have this discussion? Why even bring it up?
It was just a statement. I said we don't need the cops. We need to get rid of them.
Okay, no cops then, no sheriffs, no nothing, right?
I didn't say no sheriff. I said to retrain the sheriff in constitutional law and to recognize people's rights.
Well, why?
Bring the law back.
They're fictional. They're a fictional concept. Who cares whether we have sheriffs anyway?
Oh, whatever. You're an extremist. From one extreme to the next. I never said to do away with government entirely. I said that they are doing everything wrong. They're not abiding by their corporate fucking charter. Period. That's all I got to say anymore.
Then why do you? But
I think I'm over it. I want to go smoke a fucking cigarette, and I want to chill now.
All right.
You can live in the state. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing and working on getting out of the state and see where that gets me.
all I'm trying to say is that you are talking on both sides of your mouth. You are saying that these are fictional entities. Why should I be governed under a fictional entity? But you also want them to say that they should be held accountable in the first place. Why should you even bother caring about whether they held themselves accountable when you don't even acknowledge their existence in the first place?
You're taking it out of context. Let me make it straight for you for clarification purposes.
Sure.
The government was established to protect and maintain individual rights. Therefore, it is limited to protecting and maintaining individual rights. That I do agree with. Going outside of that scope, I do not agree with. Period. If I go out and violate somebody's rights and somebody calls the sheriff and the sheriff has to deal with me, that's more logical. If I'm actually causing damage, if I'm actually being a criminal, then the neighbors and the sheriff and whoever shows up to take care of my ass when I'm being a fucking punk, that's what I deserve. But when you're just minding your business, trying to survive in life, and these fucking pigs pull your ass over and take your property and your freedoms away from you just because you forgot to pay a ticket or something, they take you to jail, you lose your job, you lose your wife, you lose your dog, you lose your cat, you lose your house because some fucking piece of shit pig wants to violate your freedoms. You know what I'm saying? You are not hurting anything. You're going to work, you're going to the store, you're going to the fucking pot house, whatever the hell you're doing, your friends, whatever. There's no victim, there's no crime, but yet they want to make a bigger problem out of you being free.
So,
out of you minding your business because you're not paying them properly to leave you alone. You forgot to pay your money on this racket. Damn it. Now we're going to have to hurt you. So, now you're going to have to feel the wrath of our God, the state, that we worship.
So
we don't worship the creator. We worship man.
So here's the idea.
You guys are
what
idiots.
I'm getting from you.
I'm out.
Here's what I'm
Thank
getting.
you.
Well, so here's what I'm getting, man. You are saying that if you violate somebody else's rights, that as you define them as such, therefore,
this guy.
If you hold on, let me make sure I have everything clear. That if you're saying that if you believe
pretty clearly,
if you believe that you violated somebody's rights as you define them as such, that's when you acknowledge the authority of a fictional entity, right?
Say it again.
That when if you believe that you violated the rights of somebody else and violating rights as you define them as such, you know, harming someone, etc., that is when you will acknowledge the authority of a fictional entity.
When I will acknowledge it, it won't be an acknowledgement. I won't have a choice because I caused somebody loss or damages. So if they want to execute their justice, then that's what happens in the front yard, backyard, or in the house, or wherever the process happens. If, you know, it's called the laws of nature. Somebody comes and steps on your toes and you respond by breaking their neck, I don't know. It just happens.
But if your rights are violated, you're going to go to that fictional entity too.
Hey, brother. Don't be an asshole, period. It's logic.
Okay, but
somebody steps on your toes, you snap their neck, they got their justice.
But if you're
but if you want to be merciful and give them a warning, that's fine too. Whatever.
But again,
get the fuck off my toes. Don't tread on me.
If your rights are being violated, as you said, if your rights are being violated, you are going to go to that fictional entity to seek remedy, or are you going to do it personally?
That's the only place to do it peacefully at the time.
Okay. So in that respect, you'll acknowledge the authority of the fictional entity to enforce your rights or to get remedy for your rights.
What other choice do I have?
Okay.
I cannot declare war.
Right.
Because we're not in that Western society right now, are we? Well, not yet.
We're in a civil society that believes in, acknowledges the rule of law, and that's
why we have the courts, right?
And that's why the people have vested authority with the courts and with the sheriffs and police to protect our rights. And I understand that you're saying that the police aren't doing it. And I'm not understanding you're saying that that's what the cops aren't doing, but that's exactly what they're doing. You're saying that they're doing more than just simply protecting our rights; they're violating them. But I'm saying that they are also there to protect our rights and to avoid the idea of vigilantism and mob rule.
times they are on a very small scale. The biggest moneymaker right now, what they're doing and enforcing is traffic codes. It's a moneymaker.
Okay.
And it's all absolutely victimless crimes. 100%. They have absolutely no jurisdiction. They're committing at least 10 felonies to give you a ticket on the side of the road.
At least 10? Wow.
Well, yeah, you got the RICO, you got, racketeering,
RICO,
you got to cover that.
Oh my God.
Homegrown terrorism, constitutional law violations, Title 18.
Homegrown terrorism, damn.
Fuck yeah, it's homegrown terrorism. They're terrorizing you. They will flip you off the road if you don't pull over.
Just for
right.
For going 20 for stopping you for going 20 over, they are domestic terrorists, right?
Yeah, man.
That is amazing.
They're trying to force you to have shit that you're not required to have. Then when you go to jail, when you get home, your girlfriend's mad at you. She hates you from then on.
That should be a felony,
your dog
right?
hates you. Your dog bites your ankles. You lose them both. You lose everything.
The cat won't look at you in the eye anymore.
Because they are terrorizing you. They are terrorists.
Terrorizers. All right, I think we're gonna conclude on that note, right?
All right.
I gotta get up in the morning myself, so.
The police are terrorists.
Then goddamn.
It was good talking to you, though.
All right, we're gonna end it on here. I'm glad we were able to get it clear and easy towards the end, so we were able to have the conversation. Yeah. All right, I'll let you go smoke.
Yeah,
do what you gotta do.
It's after 9 now, dude. This shit smooths out.
I know, right? But
right.
Yeah, man. I'll see you around. Later.
Take it easy, bro.
Yep.
Where's the button to get out of this thing?
Leave call right there in the center. Okay. Well, that was fun. We kind of went all over the place, though. But, yeah. That was an interesting discussion. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but I'm sure we'll probably have another discussion. But I think next time I kind of want to have it more narrow. Like I want to narrow it to a specific topic next time. This was more of like a general. Let's get the idea of where we're coming from. And Archangel, if you and I want to have a go, let's have a go. You know what my email address is, so you know where to find me, right? So I'm perfectly open to having a 1-to-1. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from in that respect. I think next time I want to have like either like maybe right to travel, a very very specific topic. You know what I mean? So we'll have that. I appreciate you guys coming in to watch. Please check me out. Please subscribe, like. I hope to get to 1,000 subs on this channel sooner rather than later. And I will see you guys next time. I'll keep you guys in touch on when I'm doing this, do another one of these, or I'm doing bingo, of course. So check me out later. Have a good night, y'all. Take it easy.